Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. In this series, we're going to see how to use NSO, which is Cisco Network Services Orchestrator, to manage service provider networks. So I'm going to go ahead and show you my topology. And in this series, I expect you that you understand how to configure and deploy NSO instances. So if you don't know how to deploy or let's say install or configure NSO instances, I will share a link in the description so that you can follow the link and go to YouTube and watch excellent videos on how to install and deploy NSO instances in your lab. So what I have here is that I have a tier 3 ISP network over here. I have like I have 9 devices in my core network, and they are all running iOS XE with the exception of this P9, which is running iOS XR. I have all these devices in my Cisco NSO, and as you can see, I have a management network. So basically, in service provider networks, this is how you are going to see the setup. So within the core, we have our devices over there, and then there's a lot of routing going on. The VMs that we have in our data center, so they have routing from the various VMs all the way to their respective gateway, and then they're able to access the devices over there. But without wasting much time, I've uploaded all these devices so I can show you from here. So when I go to Cisco NSO, I can go to Device Manager. I can ping all the devices, and as you can see, they are all responding. That means the devices are online. We can connect to them. And as you can see, we've connected. I can sync the configuration from the device to the configuration database of the Cisco NSO. And as you can see, it's working fine. And if I go to compare config, there's nothing to show because there's no change in the configuration. So basically in this video, what I'm going to do is that we're going to see how to add P9, which is running Cisco IOX XR. So without wasting much time, I'll just go to my devices. I'll click on add. Now add a device name, which is P9. And I can click on confirm. As you can see, my device is here. For as it stands now, my device has no IP address. It has no type, which is the network entity drivers, which enables NSO to connect to the various devices and communicate with the devices. So if we click on ping, nothing's going to happen because there's nothing over there. And as you can see, it's an error does not exist because we have not even committed the changes that we've made to the NSO. So let's go to P9, let's go to configuration. And as you can see, there's no configuration over here. And if you compare to any of these, go to configuration, for example, IGW, Internet Gateway 2, and I go to config, you can see I have all the configs on the device pulled up here. So let's go back to the device manager. Let's go to the P9 configuration. As you can see, there's nothing over here. So what we can do is that we can just go to edit config, which allows us to edit the parameters of the device. So when you go back to device, this is where we actually perform the initial config. Now, if you watch videos on YouTube, they're going to show you how to add devices using the CLI, and you log into the CLI and then perform the configuration over there. So it's the same thing that we're going to do here. I think the most fundamental thing to do on NSO is to create an authentication group, which is very important. And I have my configured over here. I name it as MPLS core. And then another value that we should do is that, so now we have the authentication group selected. The next thing is to configure the IP address of the device. So let's configure the IP address of the device. And what else can we do again? So let's go down, let's check on SSH, and let's disable host key checking. So I think we've defined the SSH parameters none to accept any key from our device when you are trying to connect to the device. So the next thing to be done is the device type. So the device type is actually where we select the network entity drivers, which is simply the NED, which allows us to talk to the device. So which protocol are you going to use for the northbound connection or the southbound connection to the device? I will choose CLI, and I'll click on CLI, and I'll select the NET ID, which is the Cisco IOX XR CLI, and I select protocol as SSH. That is the default for the Cisco IOX XR. Then I go back to the device. Next thing to configure is the state of the device, which is very important. If you don't configure the state of the device, we can't actually connect to the device. So I think that should be somewhere here. So this is the state. So let's look at what's on the state. Shows the states of the device. So let's go to state. And then you see, for now, the device is locked for southbound traffic. That means that even if we add the device to we don't unlock it, we can't do configuration device. And so we go here, then we go to unlocked, which simply states that device is open for config and southbound traffic. So southbound traffic basically means that the device is going to receive um, instructions or remote procedure calls from the Cisco NSO, and which is issued by the user on the northbound side. So you have two connections. So the device NSO is sitting in between the user and the device. So from the northbound side is the user who is orchestrating uh, the device through NSO, and NSO will send configuration or less remote procedure calls down to the device on the southbound connection. I think we are good for that. So admin state, that's not necessary. I mean, we can just leave it. So these are the basics configs, basics that you need to get NSO running. So let's go back to devices. Let's go back to NSO and let's see what else we need to configure. I think that will be all. So let me see if there's anything to add. Let me see the net settings. I don't think we should change anything here. Let's go back. And now let's scroll down. So let me check from here as well. There's nothing to add here. I mean, these are other config parameters that you can add to the setup for the device. So when you go to our PC, nothing is there. So I think we are good to go. And when we are done, we can just go to the commit manager. As you can see, the commit manager gives a record of every activity that we've done on the device, and we can click on commit and yes, commit. As you can see, the commit was successful. There was no errors encountered. That means we should be able to ping our device now. So let's go back to P9. So let me see if the ping will go through. And as you can see, the pings are going through. And as you can see over here, the device was found as compared to the previous error. ICMP pings went through. We can connect to the device. And there we have it. So we can synchronize the configuration. And let's see. So now the sync from is basically just going to pick the configuration data from the IOX XR device, installs it in the configuration database of NSO. So whatever configuration that we will do will be pushed against the data, or let's say the data extracted from the IOX XR device, which is stored in the configuration database of the school iOS XR device over here. Then we can check the config, compare config. It's not going to show anything obviously because we haven't done any changes. So we can also as well check the configuration. And as you remember, previously there was nothing to be shown here, and now we have something to be shown. So for example, when you go to interfaces or SNMP, I have SNMP configured to send traps to our Zabbix server. And as you can see it over here, you have the community name, you have the host, and you have the trap source, which is the loopback interface. And you can as well check the traps on the device. What are we pulling from the device to the monitoring server? So let's see what else can we check from here. We can check on SSH. As you can see, SSH is running on the device, which is running version 2 over here. The next thing that we can check is that we can check on the interfaces. And as you can see, it lists all the interfaces on the device. the loopback, the IP address on it. So we can click on the loopback to see the address family, which is IPv4, and the IP address, which is configured over it. You can see everything here. We can as well change how we see things over here. So we can just go to list. So we have it over here. We can do containers, we can do none, and then we can go to regex. We can select JSON to see the format over here. So this is the format that the structured data that the NSO understands from, because when it picks the configuration from the device, might be using raw format, but then the NSO will structure it in a JSON form. So basically, that's how to upload a device to CISCO NSO and comment to the changes. And in my next video, we are going to see how to operationalize a CISCO NSO. We're going to configure BGP. We're going to configure BGP version 4 with our route reflector in our topology, and this is the route reflector. Thank you for watching this video, and see you in my next video.